En ek weet julle graag baie welkom vanoggend. In kombinasie met Hurwitz Farming, Green Star Contractors, gaan ek nou vir Jaron Hurwitz aan die woord stel om julle verder toe te spreek. Ek wil daarom net vir die verwelkoming vra dat ons nou die hoofde sal buig. Ons almagtige God en Hemelse Vader, baie dankie dat ons so by mekaar mag kom hier in die oop lig. Dankie Vader vir die goedheid wat U aan ons bewys, ondanks ons verdienste. Ons vra Vader dat U ons verder sal dra deur hierdie seisoen, dat U ons sal seën en dat ons boerderye mag rig tot eer en verheerliking van U naam. Wees dan ook so waar ons uit mekaar uitgaan en bring elkeen by sy bestemming uit. Om U naam se wil alleen vra ons dit. Amen. Nou ja, baie dankie Jaron, as jy dan verder die woord sal neem. En dan 'n lekker hande klap vir Hurwitz Farming hier op Grootpad.
Morning everyone. You'll have to excuse my English, but my Afrikaans is not so good. So hopefully we'll get by. Firstly, thanks to the Grootpad Study Group for allowing us the opportunity and for letting us be here today. I'll give a little bit of an introduction as to who we are, what we are, maybe a little bit more later on, because I believe from here we're going to the presentation area where we've got a few presentations. So yeah, I'll talk more about Hurwitz Farming, who we are, what we are, etc. I think while we're out here in the sun, let's focus on what we have to have a look at and talk about. So obviously, essentially, it's a silage information day. As you can see over here, and I'll talk a bit more specifics in a minute, this is the maize silage that was cut over here this morning. The guys started cutting. So we're focusing today, I suppose, on information and technology and scale. Those will be sort of the points that I'll speak quite a lot about today. And then also with us today we have Richard Peter from Excel, International Silage Consultant. There's Richard over there. So from a knowledge-based point of view, from a technical point of view, probably no one better in the country to speak to. So Richard will also give us a presentation and we'll go through a few things here practically at the bagging site. But I think the purpose of the day is let's be interactive, ask questions. Welcome to ask me in Afrikaans. I'm sure I'll understand it. I'll reply in English though. But yeah, ask questions, be interactive, and let's just enjoy the day. That's the whole purpose. We're not going to be out here very long because once you've seen what exhibition is once, I mean you've seen it. We're not going to cut trailers and trailers and trailers on end. It's not necessary. So what we did this morning, the guys came all the way from Natal. We are predominantly from Mpumalanga, our farming operation, but we have a base in Natal as well. So the guys came out from Natal yesterday. The equipment all arrived, and they started chopping the maize this morning. As you can see, still some fresh plants on the machine. So let's just talk briefly about the machinery, and then we'll move on to the demos. I'm not sure who's disfamiliar with silage, who makes silage, who doesn't. So forgive me if I sounds a little bit basic about what I talk about, but we'll just go through it from top to top. Obviously on my right here you have the forage harvesters. This is a Class Jaguar 960. We're not just to promote Class or any brand, but we do have quite a lot of these in our fleet from a silage making point of view. What's important about the machinery is scale, tempo, and cutting efficiency, obviously. I'll let Richard talk more about the cutting efficiency when we get to the sample just now. But just in terms of cutting silage, silage is a race against time, essentially. You are managing a crop that's drying out and it's a moisture-sensitive product, and it's a race against time. So you want to operate, well, in my opinion, you want to operate with large-scale machinery. I think if you've got multiple hectares to cut, I think the days of the one-row, two-row, pull-behind little cowbickies, I think they are slowly dwindling because the consistency of your product obviously varies. You start cutting today and you finish cutting 6 weeks later, your 20 hectare land, you have a totally different quality of product that's come out the end, or that's coming out of the process. So I think large-scale equipment has a place in silage. It's a very capital-intense, very expensive mechanization type of business or operation, but that is because of what they do. There's more technology in these machines than any Ferrari you could see driving on the road. And that's why they have the price tag that they have. So large volume, this machine here has capacity for 220 tons odd an hour. That's an as-is figure, give or take. And with all the technology going through, corn crackers, moisture monitors, yield measuring, yield mapping, all of these types of features in these types of machines, And we wouldn't do the job without them, there's no question about it, because as I say, we're in a race against time, large scale, large operation, and you've got to get in and you've got to get out. I'll move along quickly to the trucks that you see behind me. These are 6x6 trucks that is a first in the country that we managed to wrestle the city of Bent to actually import specifically for us. We have a lot of tractors and trailers in our fleet. I'll talk more about the fleet when we get to the presentation later. We have a lot of tractors and trailers, but we also use a lot of trucks for distance, for fuel economy, and for obviously turnaround time. And these are 6x6 trucks just because of the infield nature of what we do. 6x4 trucks, they don't really go infield as well as 6x6 trucks. All vehicles will get stuck in wet conditions. They're not immune to getting stuck, but they certainly do go a little bit further than your normal 6x4s or other trucks. So in our fleet we have these types of 6x6 horses with 65 cube trailers behind them, and then we also have 6x6 lorry trucks with 35 cube trailers built on the chassis, but you'll see pictures of that later. But the purpose is in silage, and this is how we positioned ourselves as silage makers. We don't like to call ourselves contractors, that's the word in the game, but we are silage makers, we are turnkey silage producers. So our objective, I suppose, is big equipment, big transport, and then the bagging at the end, which we'll talk about now. So the transport needs to meet and fit the mold of the machinery, otherwise something stands and there's a backlog somewhere. So purpose-built machinery for silage, that's all these things do. We do silage countrywide, sort of 11 months of the year. So we are full-time silage makers in any part of the country, and that's why our equipment is purposely built for that. It's not other equipment that we just pull out the store for the 2-3 month period of May silage in the summer. This is purposeful, specifically designed for our need. And so it goes on. And then from there, I mean, we just brought 3 today, because that's all that was required. And from there we get to the bagging. So I think, if you allow me to talk a few more minutes, the bagging is really the last piece of the puzzle. And again, from a technical point of view, we'll talk more in the presentations later. So I don't want to bore you with the technical details now. But I think what's important for you to see now, and that's what I'll focus on at this point in time, is this process started this morning, I think, not earlier than 9:30, give or take, this morning. The guys were in the land chopping just a couple of hectares. I think this is probably 3 or 4 hectares, 3.5 hectares or so that's in the bag. The purpose is, as you can see, is that and we stopped a couple of hours ago to wait, that from 9:30 until probably 10:30, if that, 3 hectares was cut, transported and processed, and your silage process is finished. So there's no trap array, there's no worrying about the rain if it was to fall on it. And what you see is the finished process. So a bag is obviously much longer than this. It will carry on extending as we fill, which we'll see in the practical demonstration now. But the important point to see now, as you can visualize, is the process is finished within X amount of time, within 5 minutes if it's a close land like this. Your silage making process is finished. And this is the most common part where we get it wrong, as farmers, as producers, is the end silage. You know, if you've got a machine that can cut, and you've got vehicles that can transport, that's fairly simple. But the ensiling process and the preservation and the oxygen elimination, that's often where silage goes wrong. And I think Rickard will talk more about that a little bit later on. So I think without me boring you guys too much longer, and too much further, I think let's move on to the demonstration. We'll empty, there's a bit of a load left in this trailer. We'll empty this trailer so you guys can watch for free, jump around, jump on the top, go around, see what you need to see, do what you've got to do. Have a look, we'll empty this trailer, and then we'll let the other trailer come in, empty that one. We'll talk a little bit about the sample after this trailer. I'll let Rickard talk. And after this trailer moves out, we can let the next trailer in. We'll send the machine to go and cut, but I don't know if anyone really wants to see the machine cut. It's a little bit far out, but if you want to, you're welcome. And then from there, yeah, let's have a chat, some questions, whatever it is, interactive, and from there I think if that's the program marker, we'll probably move on to the presentation area from there. Any questions so far? Next. All right, so I think let's, yeah, we can all move over to there. We'll start the demonstration. Well, before he switches on, yeah, let me talk a little bit more about it before it switches on and makes a noise. So what you see here on the bagger, there's no motor on that bagger. That's what the tractor is for. And the tractor is simply there for the PTO to turn the gearbox on the machine so that it can actually feed the material in. You're talking here about a bagging capacity of also 200 tons an hour, give or take. And a filling capacity here on a bag of this size of around about the May silage at the correct 35 or so percent dry matter of around about 6.8 tons in a meter. So you can pace it out, and that's more or less the amount of silage you'll see here in one bagger. So the tractor is just there to operate the bagger. When you see it operate, the tractor is not pulling the bagger forward. It's simply standing there to operate the bagger. The sheer pressure of the material pushing into the bagger propels everything forward. Now this bagger is a couple of tons, the tractor is a couple of tons, and on the bagger is a bit of technology to stop it from running itself away, and that's what creates the compaction and the compression within the bag. So this is technology that has been on the market internationally since 1969. For some reason it took a long time to get traction or come to South Africa. It's not a gimmick, it's been around a long time. But it's a purpose-built, a purposely designed system to compress silage into a bag. It's not the same mechanism as a grain bagger, which people are a lot more familiar with. It works with an auger. This is a totally different system, and you'll see it operate, and you'll see how the whole thing moves forward, and then we can talk, we'll talk more probably about compaction later on. But yeah, as I said, there's a whole host of things I could talk about, but let's get going, and please stop me, ask questions, because there's volumes of information we can discuss today. Yeah. This tractor's this is a 170 kilowatt tractor, but for this bagger we go as low as 140 kilowatts, and it depends on the size bagger. You get smaller baggers which need less, but for a 140 kilowatt tractor does this no problem. Right. Okay. Edward? As I say, guys, feel free to jump up. You can have a look at it going in, go around closer to the farm. Don't be shy. If you guys want to, you'll probably see better from the other side, or the tractor is, you can see it feeding in better, but yeah. So before I hand over to Richard, essentially you all saw that quite simple process. These trailers on, more or less 35% dry matter load anywhere between 28 and 30 tons. I'm not sure how much was on that load, but generally these, they offload with the bagging here in about 6 minutes or so, give or take, a little bit less, a little bit more, all depends. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the process finished in a handful of minutes. So what you see on the bagger, essentially, you saw it's connected. This piece in the middle there, that's what we call the rotor, and that is just there to feed the material through those teeth. That's what I'm not blocking anyone. The belt obviously walks to feed the material through, and it just goes on feeding and bagging. This two bars at the top, these two almost axles at the top, that's the beta bar, which is just there down, so that it doesn't mount up and it doesn't go anywhere. So it just keeps on pushing it down and bagging through. And as I mentioned earlier, the has the capacity to bag 200
suurstof. En hierdie stelsel verwyder suurstof op 'n ander manier. Daar's basies twee maniere, maar ek gaan daai details met julle deel later. Die eerste een is baie obvious, julle kan sien daai voer is klaar in die sak. Dis klaar toe. Binne minute, want daar's natuurlik nog lug in die sak. En dit is nie teen dieselfde digtheid as 'n goed getrapte banker nie. Altyd by sê as 'n korrekte gekompakteerde banker, want ek is ook koördineerder van die Santa Nasionale Landbou Kuilvoer kompetisie. Die swakste keuse is wat jy kan maak, met ander woorde vroeg gesnyde kuilvoer. Ek gaan jou 10 redes gee vandag met syfers. So hierdie hou ek baie van, en hierdie masjien maak vir ons 'n snyvenster oop aan die droë kant. Let wel, hy vergroot nie 'n snyvenster albei kante vir vroeg sny en laat sny nie. Ons moenie vroeg sny, nooit, vir geen stelsel nie. Maar vir laat sny maak jy jou venster oop. So as die reën jou vang en jy daai situasie waar jy dit nie meer kan kompakteer nie, dan maak hierdie sakmasjien nog steeds vir jou 'n suksesvolle kuilvoer. Maar onthou die gewas is wat hy is, né? As hy droog is en sy vesel is hoog, dan is dit droë hoëvesel kuilvoer. Maar as ten minste kuilvoer is nie kompos. As jy daai kuilvoer kervers, watter brand jy ook al